Ms. Carleen. I'd first like to ask everyone to please rise. We'll recognize a moment of silence for past council member Mr. Henry Brunet, who passed away this weekend, and he was a long-time public servant, even beyond his council member days. Thank you very much. If everyone would please remain standing, we'll be led in the invocation by Mr. Daniel Lorraine, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Bo Melvin.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just want to let the people know that Mr. Brunet was a former police juror. He was also a former good man. If anybody wants to stick prayers for him.
True, and he was on, I know he's on the drainage district for a long time, and he was kind of the mayor of that area. Everybody went to him for everything. Good guy.
One thing I could say about Mr. Brunet, there was no dead animals in it. But anyway, we'll do the Our Father.
Father, Lord in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'd like to start off by welcoming everyone to our meeting tonight. I'd like to remind anyone who's wishing to address the council to please fill out a blue form up by the door and get up to the council clerk. We'll make sure that we recognize you. Otherwise, I will call for anyone from the public wishing to comment on ordinances, and you can come up at that time and talk whatever item it is that you're interested in. We'd also like to apologize for the look of the council chambers. We did have a water heater that busted about a week or so ago and flooded the entire area. So thankfully, Mr. President and his staff pulled all the carpet out of here, all the moldings, and began the process of dehumidifying, and we're still in kind of a demo slash remodel mode, I guess. So thank y'all, Mr. President. Okay, with that said, we'll move right into item A, approval of minutes. Item 1, I entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the May 25th, 2021 regular session. So moved by Mr. Melvin, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item B, we have none, Ms. Carleen. Item C, do we have any state and or federal legislative updates? Any other legislator, state or federal? Okay, that brings us to item D, presentations and or updates. Number 2, Parish President to recognize Lafourche Parish Government Employee of the Month and or WOW Employee for the month of May. Mr. President, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So since our HR director isn't here yet, can we do number 3 and then jump back?
So
she actually has the certificate.
Yep, we'll go straight to number 3. Ms. Donna Nakam, Parish Chair and Extension Agent for Lafourche Office of the LSU Ag Center. Ms. Becky Gotro and Ms. Teddy Foster present an annual report for the LSU Ag Center. Yeah, if you don't mind, please. Make sure that mic, is the mic on?
Didn't sound like it.
Thank you.
I like how easy it is. Becky Gotro, 410 Lee Drive, Thibodeaux. Ms. Donna Nakam is not here, so I'll just address the office and then all my stuff. We have hired a sugarcane specialist to take Mike Abear's position because he retired. Renee Castro, she is not a, she's a friend of the Ag Center. She worked with 4-H in the Southeast region around New Orleans area a lot. She was a regional coordinator, so we just took her on as the sugarcane specialist. And then we hired a A&R specialist for cattle. That young lady starts July 1st. So that's probably the only update that Ms. Donna would give you about the office. I'll give you an update. So in front of you is the Live Healthy Thibodeaux page. I am the lead facilitator for it, and I spoke to you last year about it whenever we were first starting. Our farmers market is still running strong on Mondays from 3 to 6 at the corner of Tiger Drive and Highway 1 in that really big parking lot. We had over 215 participants yesterday and about 13 vendors. So it's really going great. Spring crop is in. It's pretty fantastic. Also, We've been painting the sidewalks around the parish, which is great because then that it incorporates physical activity and improves physical activity for the kids, mainly, at St. Mary's Nativity School here in Raceland, and then e-learning and High Five in Thibodeaux. And so if you go to Healthy Cafe, which is right next to e-learning, you can go pick up lunch, do a couple of jumping jacks, get a little active, and then go eat your lunch. We are also trying to put up hydration posters around the parish. Thanks to Mr. President, we have those posters here in parish government offices now, so that's great. And then Mitch is also on this committee. We've been working with the Thibodeaux community to get it more of a healthy community, kind of what we're doing with Thibodeaux, just to get the residents to eat more fruits and vegetables, increase physical activity, and have access to that. And we gave a produce stand to the corner store across the Bayou from Raceland Lower and Upper. There's a corner store there, and now they have a produce stand that has fresh produce in it for the walking population and anybody who wants fresh produce. So, oh, and we gave fruit trees with a Grow Me Something project. We partnered up with St. Francis Vegetable Garden, and we wrote a grant for $3,000, and we bought fruit trees, and they are now all over Lafourche and Terrebonne Parish. So now, in a couple of years, when the fruit trees have fruit, people can go pick oranges and stuff. Teddy?
Hi, Teddy Falls, 376 Highway 652, Raceland. I'm a 4-H agent. Ms. Donna is actually retiring next May, so I'll be the face you see from now on at every meeting that we come to. I just wanted to give you guys a few updates because I'm super proud of what we've been doing through the pandemic. We are the highest 4-H enrolled parish in the state. We had 727 members enrolled this year, and we are the highest parish in the state, so we're super, super proud of that. We had 77% of our members re-enroll from the previous year. So usually we try to go above our enrollment, but with COVID, we had 33 clubs this year, and we were only allowed to go into 17 of those schools. So a lot of the kids still took it upon themselves to sign up as a member at large and participate in our activities. You guys may know we have our cookeries every year. We have sugar and seafood at Galliano Elementary. We have pet and poultry day. We have ground beef cookery. Those are always big things for us. Of course, we couldn't do anything with food or face-to-face because of COVID, so we implemented a virtual cookery contest. With that, we had over 900 dishes submitted virtually, so we were so proud of that. On a good year without COVID, just comparing, some other parishes are lucky to get 10. So we had over 900. We're really, really pleased with that. We had over 100 illustrated talk submissions, so they're practicing their speaking skills, they're gaining those leadership skills. And then we also held challenge camp at the Ag Building. We had 7th and 8th graders come in. We also had some senior high level 4-H members come help out, so we were able to have that camp. We still have our Junior Leader Club, which is our high school level club that meets once a month. We were able to have meetings with them since September. We had 77 members sign up this year. Every year they pick a community service focus. This year it was to thank our first responders. So each month they either wrote thank you cards, sent a gift, something of that nature. But they've been really involved with the community as much as we possibly could. Our shooting sports program still was able to practice every weekend. They competed in the regional and state matches, and we do have 2 of our students that qualified to compete at the National Shooting Sports Contest, which is a really big honor. It's hard to get a spot to that, so we're proud of them. Our horse program had the Bayou area show in Raceland at the Raceland Arena that you guys are doing some work to. That is open to the state, so we bring in a bunch of different entries from other parishes. It's kind of small, but it's growing, so we'll continue to work with it. And then one last thing that I'm super proud of, we host the Bayou area Fall Classic Livestock Show. It's every November, so if you guys ever have time in November, it'll actually be November 20th of this year. It's a livestock show that is open to the whole state. Every year we're growing. When I first got here in 2017, we had 7 parishes present. Last year, we had 17. We had over 400 animals and so many people. So it's growing, it's big. We're bringing people to our parish, and they love it. So if you guys have a chance in November, I would love for y'all to come out and see what those kids do, because it's pretty neat what they can make a cow, a goat, a sheep, or a pig do with just a little stick or a rope. Thank you.
Very good, Teddy. Anyone have any questions? Very good. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Mr. President, you ready yet?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sorry about that. Sorry, Jim. All right. So our employee of the month this month is Mr. Eric Triggs, a mechanic 3, who's stationed at the field office in Raceland. And his nomination was on behalf of the coroner's office staff, as they were recently involved with the Secor Power incident. They made one phone call to Eric to assist with starting and overseeing what we refer to as the body trailer. It's the big reefer trailer next to the coroner's office, to make sure it was cranked up in case they needed it. And even throughout the weekend, he assisted us. Eric is a blessing to our department and always makes sure our equipment is up and running without hesitation. And I will say that that goes way beyond the coroner's office. If you ever need anything from a mechanic, Eric's one of the top-notch guys. So Eric, we appreciate everything you do for us, and congratulations.
Thank you, Eric, for service to our parish. You're welcome to say something if you want, Eric. Very good. Thanks again. We appreciate it. Okay, we'll move right along on the agenda to item E, Legal Advisory Report. We have none. Item F, Engineers, Architects Reports. Do we have any Engineers, Architect Reports? Okay, Mr. Plaisance, you have the floor.
Good evening, John Plaisance with GIS Engineering, 16878 West Main Street in Cutoff. The only project we have for y'all to address is the West 55th Street Drainage Project. The contractor has been given a notice to proceed. That happened on June the 1st. He is getting his materials, and we expect to see him on site next week.
Very good. Anyone have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Nope. Thank you, Ms. Plaisance. Appreciate it. Any other engineers and/or architect reports? None? Move right on to item G. Public wishing to address the council at public hearings, agenda item to consider. Ms. Corleen.
Miss Brenda Learet and Mr. Donald Learet, if y'all would both come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record, Mr. and Mrs. Learet. Remember, you have 3 minutes.
Brenda Learet, 180 Mia Drive, Gray, Louisiana, 70359.
Donald Learet, same address. She's my better half.
I'm here to address, I was wrongfully let go of the library last June of 2020, and I'm here because I'd like my name cleared, the people responsible held accountable, and the library policies changed to overrule library director. As I had brought it to the attention of the library board, and it was not even looked into the matter. I was a 20-year employee, and I was out on family medical leave for 3 months. I had hurt my knee. I came back to a whole new system, and I was starting my training, but I was not fully trained yet. I was forewarned by Paul Chiquette, who was a former employee of the library, that to lay low, in other words, because she was after me. I came back to below standard evaluation, which I didn't feel was right, but I signed it. I had requested original evaluations 3 times, and I was told there was no such thing, but my manager had pointed out that it was not her doing to give me this type of evaluation, but it was made to be changed. I did submit a grievance twice, and it was not properly looked into. My husband was wrongfully accused of harassment, and I was let go, fired, whatever you want to call it. I did not sign for a write-up, and I did not sign for the firing as well. But I am here because I would like the matter to be looked into. I not only represent myself, but I represent the library as a whole, and I think matters need to be changed, the way the dealings. So, and my husband would like to speak on my behalf and his.
Yes, for those of y'all who don't know me, I'm a service-connected disabled veteran of the Vietnam War. I believe strongly in government. I've participated in government over the years. I was chairman of a rec board, so I know what open meetings laws exist. We went to library board of control meeting. We weren't given 2 minutes between the two of us to even address the board. We saw that it was whitewashed and thrown in the corner by what was on the wall, because it was a virtual meeting and the library director had put up there that the matter was already taken care of. Well, the policy y'all have in place with the library sucks, because the employees can't go beyond the director.
Yeah, you can continue, sir. Mr. Adams, relinquishes.
The library employees can't go beyond the director to address the board and get the board to resolve a matter. Then that's a dictatorship. That's a fiefdom. That's a kingdom that's built. Y'all have the same problem here that Terrebonne Parish has with their Council on Aging. I don't know if y'all familiar with it. But the board of control has been manipulated by the director. Her friends are on there, and she gets what she wants. She runs the whole thing. I tried to get on the agenda, she refused. I have that in an email. A statement was written about me saying I harassed the Raceland branch manager, which I always had respect for her. I never harassed her. But I knew she was being pressured by headquarters to get rid of Brenda. She didn't want to get rid of Brenda. She admitted that to us. Her original valuation that went to headquarters was changed and sent back. And that's what upset Brenda. Brenda tried asking for that evaluation 3 different occasions. She never got it. When the day she was written up and sent home without pay, I was on the computer in the library trying to find out when the next board meeting was. When the library director came out and told me to leave, I didn't know at the time that she had already called the cops. Now that was a false police report. I never harassed her. I have a witness that heard everything that was said, and it was one of the other employees that worked with Brenda. I also have a written statement from the Raceland branch manager that is libelous. It's a lie. And I can prove it in court, because the timeline doesn't follow the statement. I don't know if you know the old cliche, liars can't lie and figures don't lie. Well, if you follow the timeline, you can tell that the statement is false. I was only there to bring Brenda's car to get a brake tag put on it and return it to her. And I stopped and ate lunch with her when I got back. But we could tell at that time it was all being manipulated by headquarters. Even to the point where her computer would not work anymore, so that she can turn in what they claimed was retraining. If you get a warning from someone like Mr. Paul Chiquette to lay low because she's gunning for you, you know what to expect. And many employees at the library have gone through the same thing that Brenda has gone through. Brenda's seen it. This lady raised 3 children before I even knew her, working at the library. She never missed a day of work unless it was something very serious. When I got to know her, I admired her for her dedication to the library. Probably most of the books in y'all district was cataloged by her while all the branches were being built. She worked at headquarters. Now, I helped the director when the council was trying to take their extra money away. I helped her save that money. Today, I regret doing that because she stabbed me in the back. I have documentation for everything. I have documentation. I have an attorney that will receive it if this is not properly disposed of and Brenda's demands are not met. The last point I want to make that this council needs to look into is y'all approving people for this library board. There's no policy on interaction between the staff and people who want to get on the library board. I know there was an instance where Mr. Chiquette wanted to get on the board, but he didn't have enough time away from the library. That was wrong. That man dedicated his life to the library. He should be on that board because he keeps everybody honest. And he has done that over the years. Kept everybody honest because he had the library in his heart. And people like Brenda he had in his heart because they worked together to build that library. But y'all look into the background of the people and who's pushing them. I know it's all politics, but that board y'all have right there is stacked in favor of the director. They just rubber stamp everything she wants. Same problem Terrebonne has with Council on Aging. So I say, look at the policies, look at the library policy especially because it violated her First Amendment rights to be able to go beyond the director. And look at y'all policy in appointing board members to this library. Because if everybody's going to rubber stamp, y'all going to wind up with what y'all have in Thibodeaux, which is a library that cost 2 libraries. Y'all could have built 2 brand new libraries for what that library in Thibodeaux cost. Now, I'm not sure if the roof has ever been fixed, but I know that roof cost y'all a hell of a lot of dollars.
Thank you, Mr. Learett. And duly noted, of course, I would encourage no one to really engage in conversation since this could be in litigation. But we thank you for bringing this all to our attention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
I'd
Learett.
ask the council, if y'all will, to direct the parish president to look into this, him and his staff, and come back to y'all with a report.
Thank you, Mr. Learett. We certainly
you.
appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
No question. That's fine.
No, I don't want to.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you, Ms. Carleen. Appreciate it.
Chairman,
Yeah, Mr. Lorraine?
before we go any further,
Yep.
Terry whispered something to me that we also had another councilman that passed away recently. It was in District 8, it was Mr. Narcissus Maye. He served on the parish council, and so I just didn't want to leave him out and say some prayers
It
for
was
him. and his
District 8 back in 20 years ago,
Well,
a
it
different
was-
district or the current district?
family. No, I think it was 12. When we had 15, Maye was there.
Yeah, so who knows where that district was at then?
Huh?
Is he from the Rose?
He's trying to.
Cut off.
Cut off?
What was the district boundaries, is what he's saying.
I don't really remember.
But he's from the cutoff area.
Cutoff and the Rose. But he just recently, about maybe, 3 weeks, a month? Was in between
Yeah.
the meetings. I just didn't want to leave him
Yeah,
alone.
agreed. So we certainly want to, thank you for that. May I bring us somewhere? Okay, with that said, we'll move right to item H, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I'll now entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Mr. Wendell, second by Mr. Adams. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item 4, ordinance approving the holding of an election in Fire Protection District Number 8-A of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana on Saturday, November 13, 2021, to authorize the levy of a parcel fee therein. Moved by Ms. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Would anyone from the public like to comment on item number 4? One time, two times. Anyone from the public? Ordinance number 4, last call. Would anyone from the council like to discuss this item? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 5, ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-016 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to cover the cost for priority road list for Road Sales Tax District 2 and Road Sales Tax District A, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 5? One time. Two time, last call for public, ordinance number 5. Anyone from the council would like to discuss this item? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. I'll now entertain a motion to close public hearing. So moved by Mr. Gross, second by Mr. Melvin. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item I, proposed ordinances. Mr. Wendell, you have the floor, sir.
Item number 6, proposed ordinance accepting the subdivision known as Settlement at Live Oaks, Phase 3 into the parish system by Mr. Adams on behalf of administration. Item number 7, proposed ordinance accepting the subdivision known as Elmwood Estate Subdivision, addendum number 4 into the parish system, Mr. Araby on behalf of administration. Item number 8, proposed ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 2-36, precinct polling place for Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances to change precinct numbers as follows: Ward 1, Precinct 3A, and Ward 1, Precinct 3B to Ward 1, Precinct 3, and Ward 1, Precinct 5, and to further establish the effective date of same and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relative documents by Mr. Grow on behalf of administration. Item number 9, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 6160 that approve a lease agreement between St. John Volunteer Fire Department, District number 6, and the parish of Lafourche for leasing the premises located at 2429 Parish Road, Thibodeaux, Louisiana, 70301, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents by Mr. Grow on behalf of administration. Proposed ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 2-36, precinct polling places of Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances to change precinct numbers as follows: Ward 6, Precinct 1A, and Ward 6, Precinct 1B to Ward 6, Precinct 1, and Ward 6, Precinct 5, and to further establish the effective date of the same and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relative documents by Mr. Adams on behalf of administration. Item number 11, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 6481 that approved a lease agreement between the Lafourche Parish School Board and the parish of Lafourche for leasing the premises located at 450 Highway 20, Thibodeaux, Louisiana, 70301, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents by Mr. Adams on behalf of administration. Item number 12, proposed ordinance amending and reenacting Chapter 34, Article 5, Fire Protection Districts of the Lafourche Parish Code of Ordinances as it pertains to board member qualifications, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relative documents. Mr. Melvin on behalf of administration. Item number 13, proposed ordinance providing for the incurring of debt and issuance of not to exceed $3,600,000 aggregate principal amount of road sales tax District number 2 of the parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, public improvement revenue bonds, in one or more series, the bonds prescribing the form, terms, and conditions of the bonds, and the security therefore, designing the date, denomination and place of payment of such bonds, providing for the payment of such bonds in principal and interest, approving and confirming the sale of such bonds, and providing for other matters with respect to the bonds by Ms. Chasson on behalf of administration. Item number 14, a third supplemental ordinance amending and supplementing ordinance number 4116, first supplemental ordinance number 5173, and second supplemental ordinance number 6417, providing for the issuance of not exceeding $5,200,000 an aggregate principal amount of public improvement revenue bonds on Consolidated Sales Tax District A of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana pursuant to the General Bond Ordinance, approving and confirming the sale of such bonds to purchasers thereof, prescribing the form, fixing the details, and providing for payment of principal and interest on such bonds and the application of the proceeds thereof, and providing for other matters in connection with therewith, by Mr. Adams on behalf of administration. That is, proposed ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 236, precinct polling places for Lafourche Parish and Code of Ordinances to change the precinct numbers as follows: Ward 11, Precinct 3A, and Ward 11, Precinct 3B, to Ward 11, Precinct 3, and Ward 11, Precinct 5, and to further establish the effective date of the same and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relative documents, by Mr. Adams on behalf of administration. Item number 16, proposed ordinance amending a lease agreement between Bayou Recreation District Number 11 and the Parish of Lafourche for leasing the premises located at 200 Mazarac Street, Houma, Louisiana 70364, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents, by Mr. Adams on behalf of administration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wendell. Brings us to item J, resolutions. Number 17, resolution approving an agreement between Pet Health Services USA Incorporated and Lafourche Parish Government to streamline animals at the Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moving Mr. Grove for the administration, second by Mr. Melvin. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 18, resolution approving an assignment agreement from Weimer Grove Flores LLC to Grove Flores Positary LLC and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Grove for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 19, resolution accepting and approving the report required by and in compliance with Article 6, Section 6 of the Home Rule Charter. Moved by Ms. Chestnut for the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 20, resolution accepting and approving the report required by and in compliance with Article 6, Section 6 of the Home Rule Charter. Moved by Mr. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item K, motion. Number 21, motion to appoint the Daily Comment as the official journal for the Lafourche Parish Council for the period from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 at the rate of $5.50 per square of 100 words. Will someone move on that motion for me? Mr. Adams will propose that motion. Second by Mr. Wendell. Does anyone have any discussion on that motion? Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, at one time, they were located in Thibodeaux. Then they were located with the courier in Houma. But I think all that's gone, huh? So where, somebody told me they were located in Lafayette.
That's where they print at.
That's where they print at.
Huh?
So they print the paper in Lafayette now, and they ship it every morning.
But they're not even located in
They still
Lafourche
have two
anymore.
They're the only organization that qualifies as the official journal for our parish, unfortunately, still. We have engaged, Mr. Reggie Bagalas, the former state rep, was working on it. And then since then, State Rep Joe Orgeron is working to try to come up with a solution. But right now, we're in a corner.
I understand that. But you're supposed to deliver that paper parish-wide. It doesn't go to Leeville, it doesn't go to Fouchon. And the Gazette picks up about half the parish from the Highway 90 south. You know, these people, and that the deal they were working on between you, this is just my opinion. That'll never happen. The newspapers got power.
They do.
And they're not gonna get away from that. But the point I'm trying to make is you used to have an office over here in Thibodeaux, then they had one in Houma. That's all gone.
They're still there.
They got an office?
They're just smaller. They're downsized.
I know they have,
Mr. Grove.
I know they have a sales department, but you do bring up a good point. I'm not aware of a physical office other than they had one by the, I call it the old Kmart building where they have Rouse's, kind of going out towards the end of Thibodeaux. They have a small office in there that you used to be able to go to, but I'm not sure that that's even there. They don't deliver with a route person anymore in the city of Thibodeaux. It's delivered by your mailman, which is what I brought up a couple meetings ago about getting 3 or 4 papers in one day, you know, you miss 3 or 4 days of mail.
I get it in the mail, but when they skip it, they don't give it to you.
My question was, is
Let the
Joe,
record reflect that Ms. Chesson stepped out at 17:35.
is Representative Ogeron working on that? Are we
Yes.
sure of that? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
he, last I spoke to him, he's still talking, but as Mr. Lorraine said, the lobbyist in Baton Rouge, he's run into a brick wall, so he's trying to make a proposal, and it actually involves the Gazette, where he's trying to meet middle ground with them. The reality is, and this is what myself, Mr. Boglot, and then when I then subsequently engaged Mr. Ogeron, is that nowadays, you know, everyone is accessing documents electronically. And it's unfortunate that state law is requiring us to have it this way, that we can't simply do it on whether it's our website.
It's posted on our
or-
site. anyway.
Yeah, where everybody would have access. Right now, everyone doesn't have access, because if you don't subscribe to the comment, then you don't see this. And it's not a free electronic, you can't view it free electronically.
And it won't be, it doesn't get to you as fast as it
No,
does
so
to Ms.
so the
Carlene.
objective, the whole objective of the state law was so that the people would be made aware of it, and unfortunately, that's not what's happening. And that's the argument that Reggie started, and now Joe's fighting it. Unfortunately, though, our hands are tied from a local legislative group, our hands are tied by state statute.
And just so I'm clear, why is the Gazette not available? When I see the Gazette in
It's not
Thibodeaux.
parish-wide.
I see it in Thibodeaux.
I'm just telling
It's
you,
a free paper.
they, at this point, they do not qualify as an official journal for us. Mr. Melvin?
I saw the Gazette and I kind of had to double take in Rouse's by Nichols the other day. So, I mean, the comment doesn't fit the criteria. So what is the criteria? Why doesn't the Gazette fit it?
Hey, this was all sent to y'all. Everyone is aware of this. Y'all can
let's
engage the
remember.
state rep. I took it upon myself to get with Reggie and then following with Joe because I think it's not right.
I know who owns the comma. I mean, does everybody know now who
New
owns
York
the comma?
Times.
New
No
York
clue.
Times? Yeah, okay.
No clue.
New York Times? Oh. Well. okay,
No
well,
clue. Mr. Lorraine, you got
It's
some
not somebody in
follow-ups?
Lafourche Parish.
The Gazette does the South Lafourche Levy District minutes, the Port Commission minutes, Grand Isle.
Because their district is located, it's in there, right?
It's within the boundaries, I guess.
That's right. That's
But the
right.
Gazette, the difference, that's a free paper, and the other one you gotta buy. You know, I guess
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote for it, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cancel my subscription. I'm done with the comment.
No, I would encourage y'all, you know, and I need to follow up and stay in close contact with Mr. Ogeron. And I have spoken to Mr. Brian Fontenot, State Representative Brian Fontenot regarding this issue as well. And he felt it also to leave it with Joe pushing the issue, but it's certainly something that's not right. It's not right because it's not reaching the people like it's supposed to, is what it's designed to do. That's my problem with it. Anyway, we do have a motion on the floor with a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Quit talking. They charge you $5.50 for 100 words.
True. With that said, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item L, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Manager reports, presentations, and our updates. Number 22, Department of Public Works Representative to present a report. Mr. Dillon, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll go ahead and get started with the June 2021 presentation. As always, starting in District 1, Eclair Drive, repair potholes. Moving to District 2, area levies. Cap levies in several areas throughout District 2. The 6th Ward area has about 76 miles of levee between our field offices of Chack Bay and Thibodeaux, as well as a few North Lafourche Levee District contractors. We touched every bit of that 76 miles of levee during this last recent flooding event we had. Bridge Road, swept roadside ditches. Choctaw Road, replaced driveway culvert. Choctaw Road, constructed spall bank to protect 6th Ward Middle School. This was also from the flooding event. Grand Maison, swept drainage ditch. Martinez Street, swept roadside ditches. St. James Canal, removed debris from bridge. Little Isle Pump Station, replaced steps. Moving to District 3, Milltown subdivision, repaired curbing. This is work of our maintenance contractor. They replaced around 1,100 feet of curbing in the subdivision. Talbot Avenue at Camellia Drive, also work of our maintenance contractor, asphalt patch where cross culvert, was replaced. Talbot Avenue, swept roadside ditches. Tina Street, installed driveway culvert. Moving to District 4, Margaret and David Drive, repaired panel. Also work of our maintenance contractor. Edgewood Drive, repaired pothole. Blazon's Drive, swept roadside ditches. Moving to District 5, Butch Hill Boat Launch. This is the start of the expanding of the parking lot of the boat launch. As you can see, we've been fighting the rain. Bobcat Pump Station, clean reservoir. Hidden Acres, swept roadside ditches. Louise Lane, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. Mary Beth Avenue, clean culverts. Savoy Street, swept roadside ditches. Silver Creek Drive, removed collapsed landscape culvert. Moving to District 6, St. Anthony Street, repoured driveway. This is a replaced driveway culvert a few months back. This is also work of a maintenance contractor. Adams Street, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. Cypress Villa Lane, replaced driveway culvert at house 133 and house 143. While we're there, we also removed the collapsed landscape culverts at house 143. First Street, swept roadside ditches. Leonard Street, swept roadside ditches. Oak Street, swept roadside ditches. Pecan Street, removed collapsed landscape culverts. Pecan Street, swept roadside ditches. North Leon Drive, clean culverts. St. Joseph Street, repaired road failure. Moving to District 7, this is the Larry Melisson outfall, swept outfall. And the Lockport Field Office, as well as the Raceland Field Office, helped out a lot. I do have a picture of Lockport Field Office making sandbags for the Choctaw Field Office during their flooding event. Moving to District 8, East 7th Street, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. East 38th Street, removed collapsed culvert. East 40th Street, swept roadside ditches. Sorry about that. East 57th Street, swept roadside ditches. West 43rd Street at Highway 1, swept roadside ditch. West 11th Street at Highway 3235, lowered culvert. This is one of the culverts that we believe was giving us a lot of issues on the West 11th and 13th area. We were able to lower this culvert almost 7 inches, so we believe that's going to pull a lot of water out of the subdivision and give those people some relief. It's not the permanent fix, but it'll help in the meantime. West 11th Street, replaced stop sign. West 12th Street, cut trees. West 40th Street, outfall, swept outfall. Moving to District 9, East 85th Street, swept roadside ditches. East 152nd Street, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. West 122nd Street, installed street signs. West 132nd Street, outfall, cut trees on outfall. West 184th Street, removed collapsed culvert. West 190th Street, repaired road failure. West 217th Street, repaired speed bump. West 223rd Street, repaired large pothole. Yankee Canal Road, spread dirt. The Galliano Annex is 100% complete. This was also work of our maintenance contractor. And the last picture I have is some of the Galliano Annex that we brought to the Golden Meadow boat launch in order to use it for riprap. I will say y'all saw a lot of roadside ditches being dug on this one. With all the rain we had in May, we kind of had to stay on the street. So if you have an outfall on the list, it's coming. Bear with us. We stayed on the streets as much as we could with the amount of rain we had.
Thank you, Dylan.
Any questions?
Questions for Dylan? Mr. Grove?
Thank you for addressing those issues in 12-seaters. In regards to Milltown, any updates on that? I know you sent Mr. Passman out there. Did y'all hear anything?
No, he went out and viewed the site yesterday. We're gonna get it cut.
We can do it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So can we block it off? Is that, if it's not?
So I don't know. That's a little bit different issue. It is private property. I guess we could block off at the end of our street, but we'd have to get the property owner access at some point. It has never been dedicated to us, so we do not have the street or anything in it. We have cut the property before. I was answered that question. So
We're gonna bill them for that. Do we need to serve them before we cut it? I mean, it's
we let them
taller
know.
than me.
Yeah, we let them know. We give them a certain amount of time to cut the grass, and if they don't abide by it, then we go in and cut it, and we bill them. If they don't pay the bill, then there's a lien on the property.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Grove. Mr. Melvin?
Hey, Dylan, thank you for that report. Real quick, sent you an email about 215 Bayou Vista. It's on the Boudreaux property, which is on the south side of Bayou Vista. And apparently there's a ditch that runs right behind the houses on the pasture side. And the lady has I'm sure it's like this for a lot of areas, but I just wanted to make sure that, number one, it's in the pasture right away, which it should be. And number two, if we can have a look at sweeping that at some point, it would help the drainage there as well.
We are looking for the right of way right now. I'm aware. Thanks for sending that email. As soon as we verify there's a right of way, sure, we can sweep
Yeah,
it.
well, I know there's a right of way. I know the Boudreaux, and I know it was done. Unless the paperwork went missing, just let me know if we need to jump on it again.
Sure.
Also, 182, I know, I heard there's some action at 182, they kind of clean. I don't know if it's us, the state, or who.
Yeah, we did it. It took us about 10 or 11 hours. We swept. We had 2 crews on it. Worked from front to back. Guys did a really good job. They coordinated all our efforts. They went from G&F Sporting, and man, I'm going to forget the address coming back on the side. Mr. Terry probably knows it better than I do. But anyway, they did a good stretch of it. All the way to the storage, the mini storage is right past the donut shop. So,
So the boatyard, do you know if they have underground culverts or if it's just solid rocks?
I don't.
and
I can go
ditch?
look. I'm pretty sure they have subsurface drainage, but I can go
Because-
look. So once we finish, we did let the state know. The state is supposed to come back with their vac truck, blow everything out. And
Yeah,
so-
because I don't know, I mean, I went and walked that lot years ago, and I'm not saying there's not a catch basin, but it looked like it was either hard to find, I couldn't find it, or it was totally occluded in the boat place, that length. And lastly, some of the landowners who, in the Raceland area, that Cyprian helps them out, they were wondering, and I'm just pitching this out there, is that they wanted to have some oversight in whatever's moving forward with Cyprian, simply because, I mean, I have no problem with some eyes on this thing, because I just don't want to see anything happen again moving forward that happened in the past. Whatever happened or didn't happen, I'm just saying that they requested that some landowners wanted to have some oversight, and not give orders, just to have, be brought into this deal, because they got the most skin in the game as far as their land. See, so that's what they asked me to ask y'all. So,
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Araby?
Mr. Dillon, I want to compliment your department for doing a great job, especially in the District 6 area. But I do have a couple of outfall canals that needing a little attention, and I've sent quite a few work orders already, and mainly behind the hospital where we get a lot of flooding at the D.D. Troops outfall, Adams outfall, Robichaud outfall, and I can name you a few more that I'm going to send you some work orders down the line, but I'm sure all the outfall needs some attention, whether it need to be cleaned, cut, dug, or whatever. But that D.D. outfall canal, it's high on my priority list, because that drains all the Purge, Sycamore area and stuff like that. And the Adams outfall, talking with the supervisor, he don't quite remember the last time they cleaned it, but I'm not sure if it don't need to be dug or cleaned or cut or whatever, but that drains all of St. Peter Street. And I know we got a lot of complaints on St. Peter Street and everything else, so that would help if we can get some attention to clean that thing out a little bit or check it out. So, if you get that taken care of, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. I know one thing with the Adams outfall, we're looking at upsizing the culvert where it makes a turn. I think that culvert needs to be enlarged. That's a big issue we have there. But while we're doing the job, I think that's something we can address.
Thank you, Mr. Araby. Ms. Chesson?
Hey, Dylan, West 55th Street, Mr. John, he said June 1st we're starting?
Yeah, it was a notice to proceed was issued for June 1st. That's when their
we
contract
didn't
time
start
started.
yet.
They did not mow bin to my knowledge.
Okay, any idea what's going on?
I think they're
As
waiting to
far as
procure
the-
materials.
Waiting for materials? Okay. Second question.
Yes, ma'am.
We bought new equipment. Any idea when that's coming in?
We did not buy it yet. The money.
We didn't buy it yet?
Gotta wait for the bond issue to finish. Are you talking about the tractor?
The tractors.
I'm gonna follow up. They
For
had told me
area.
a date of July 28th initially.
Because as you know, we're in.
As it gets closer, I'm gonna follow up.
Yeah, because we're in that season and everyone's
I'll
crying
follow up
about it.
tomorrow
Yeah,
and get you an
when that
an update.
equipment's coming in. It was a new excavator too, yes? No?
No, ma'am, just two
No?
tractors.
Just two tractors.
A side mower and a boom mower.
Okay. That's it, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chesson. Mr. Adams?
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon. So I seen they did a lot of work. Again, I want to thank everybody that came out there and did work. I know everybody's been busy, but the grass at the ballpark in Bayou Buff and the grass at the ballpark in Choctaw. I know I sent you an email today. I didn't get a chance to read your response. Could you give me an update on that?
They tried to cut it, the water's still over the grass. They cut the high spot, that's all they could get to. As soon as the water goes down, it's on their radar, they'll go
All
and cut
right,
it.
so I know that a lot of people have been talking about the, on 304, Highway 304, the ditches need to be cleaned. They hadn't been cleaned out in probably, I don't know, years. I know it's a state thing. Do you have any timeline or you talk to the state about it?
I don't, I can check in with the state again
All right.
and get back
that's
with you.
Oh, wait, hold on.
So the last email we got was actually Sunday afternoon from Josh McNair with DOTD. He said he says their maintenance specialist went out to look at it, but the water was still actually too high in the ditch to figure out what exactly they need to do. So I think once the water goes down, they're gonna come back and reassess it. So
That's cool.
hopefully the water goes down soon.
Mr. Wendell?
I don't know the correct name of this body of water, but the Pointe-aux-Champs Bayou that runs on the Lafourche side of the highway. Is that for the state? Is that for Lafourche? Is that for Terrebonne? Does anybody know?
You talking about where the driveways cross?
Yes. State? Okay. I've gotten some calls about 3 or 4 trees that are down and people are worried about future water flow in hurricane season because that seems to be the only body of water that moves. And from my understanding, for the 6 or 8 mile stretch, it's 2 or 3 trees, and it doesn't sound like a huge undertaking, but I don't know who's checking that and who's.
There's been some of those issues that we have taken care of in the past. If you send me the addresses, I'll get them the bond. Usually, I mean, it all depends what we can do with it. That canal gets fairly large in some areas, but
Right.
we can wrap a rope around it, cut it, and pull it out, we will.
Because one of them, the guy didn't have the addresses, and I rode down there. There was one right when you get on the road that was a fairly small tree laying completely over. And there were 2 or 3 others that it laid down, but it looks like it's still attached at some roots or something. And those were a little bit bigger, but I'll.
If you get the addresses, we'll go look at it, see if we
Okay.
can help out.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wendell. Mr. Jones?
Yes, Mr. Lafourche, I sent in a few work orders
I
this
saw that.
week.
Yes, sir.
And you did? I wanted to know if you got them. Also, we're getting behind in the grass. Since District 2 have a lot of water, and District 1, Region 8 was helping them out, maybe we can get the tractors in District 1 and cut some grass.
They're broken.
Oh, okay. Also, we need to still schedule that walkthrough at 485 Waverly Road.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully soon, okay? But everything else is great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Just a quick question, Dylan. So you mentioned greater than 1,000 foot of curbing in one street, one area, and then all the other pictures you showed there was no curbing. What is the fundamental reason for curbing? Is that not a cosmetic? To me, it almost seems like a landscape culvert versus a driveway culvert kind of scenario. What is the public's interest in the curb in only certain subdivisions?
I think it's solely based on the developer, what the developer wants the subdivision to look like, how he wants to operate, and it is based a lot on drainage. You know, some of these subdivisions use curb and gutter drainage, and it's all subsurface. Some of them have open ditch. A lot of developers are going to this curb and gutter style. You know, it does present a little bit of issue, especially when you got to replace them, especially if they aren't installed right or poured too wet. We do have a lot of issues with them and a lot of repours on a lot of these curbs. Look, we spend a ton of money fixing curbs throughout the parish. You know, especially in the Bayou, I'm not picking on anybody, especially in the Bayou Blue Thibodeaux area. A lot of those newer developments do have do have curbs.
I mean, it just seems like something the planning commission, or that needs to be addressed. I don't know, I don't understand how the parish taxpayers should be paying, you know, for a handful of subdivisions curbing.
I understand.
If it doesn't serve a specific purpose, because like I said, I just watched one street and then all the other ones you showed, I didn't see any curbing.
That's right.
And it's just very expensive, and it's not like we have some kind of coffer for curbing that I'm aware of. I'd much rather see that money spent in outfalls, et cetera, drainage. So I think that's something we need to look at hard, is the whole curbing and whose foots that bill is, I think there's as an imbalance there.
I guess we didn't have that conversation with the planning commission.
From my perspective. The other thing is, I noticed, so like on St. Anthony Street, which is not my district, it's Mr. Araby's, I mean, they had a big driveway. I guess you had to knock out a lot of cement, real pretty. And then all your other pictures you had where you pack limestone, you cut blacktop, but you don't replace that?
So it all depends. You know, some areas we're able to cut and just pull out that one piece of cement. Sometimes we cut and everything starts breaking and falling in with it. The one on St. Anthony Street, I know of it. The culvert separated and there was a lot of erosion underneath it. So when we saw cut it, everything broke loose. That's one of the larger ones. We don't always have to pour that much. It's a very small amount that we have to pour that amount of cement at a location. Usually it's a much smaller one.
Say, for instance, on a driveway where they have 8 foot of blacktop, where when the street was done, they kind of went into, y'all just put limestone in there and vibrate the limestone, or do y'all go back and cement?
We come back and, so if it was asphalt, we'll come back and pour hot mix over it. If it's a rock driveway, we leave it as rock. If it's concrete, we come back and do concrete.
Okay.
Whatever the previous material was, we put it back to how it was.
Got it. Mr. Grove.
In regards to the curbing, that would be something I'd be interested in hearing what the planning commission says, because on the front end, if you put it in, we can't go back on everything now, but I know in my areas that a lot of these ones we were replacing, it's something as simple as the way they put the mailbox, and the mail carrier is just constantly pounding over it because they put it too deep in, and, you know, and it starts giving way.
And look, the biggest places they fail at the driveways.
Yeah, and they have associations, some of those too, so they should maybe.
That's who contacts us to tell us that they're broken.
Yeah, they should be pitching in.
That's my point.
I mean, now I've seen where they put a culvert in a ditch and pay for it, big ditches, you know, so why couldn't they engage Norris Boudreaux?
And Mr. Chairman, so years ago, when decorative street lighting became a thing, they instituted kind of an escrow program. If you put a decorative street light in, you pay an extra fee. And if that street light falls down, we have the money in a separate account to go do that. I mean, I'm not saying we charge people for curbing, right? But if you get into some of these newer subdivisions where they're putting in curbing to sell a lot's a little bit faster because it's a prettier design, prettier subdivision, less maintenance, then maybe you start looking at some type of impact fee so we can handle it on the back end.
Or at a minimum, you don't replace it, or the homeowner can replace it at their cost. That's how I just can't see how I can afford to pay for a subdivision curbing and buy a lot there, but the next guy can't. But yet the parish government is going to go and replace. It's an imbalance in my opinion. Last thing, Dylan, if you don't mind, update LaRose flood wall for those people on Buchanan, Chesterly, Gemini, Industrial Park Road. Where do we stand on that multi-million-dollar project?
Yes, sir. So we are under review on the drainage now. I've got a good amount of time to sit down and review it. We need to relook at the scope and have a discussion with the engineer. So hopefully I can call the engineer tomorrow or the following day, plan a meeting, sit down, and go over some of these issues. We have also run it by the state, waiting to hear back from them on a few things.
Very good. Thank you, Dylan.
You got
Appreciate
it. Thank you.
Mr. Araby, I'm sorry, he just put his light back on.
One other thing, Dylan,
Yes,
I
sir.
was gonna talk to you about it a little later on, but the Central Lafourche Drainage Project, the second phase of the project that y'all working on and ready to go with, I know we're having a little funding situation with that, but as soon as we get that straight, can you kind of give me a timeline about when this will start?
I guess after I issue a notice to proceed and a PO to the contractor, I would assume that he can mob in probably in 30 to 45 days. That's a conversation I need to have with him, but I think that's a realistic goal. And I am not 100% sure on the timeline. They could probably pull the culverts out and lay everything back in over, let's say, 6 weeks. And then driveways would obviously be a much longer turnaround to come back in, let them pack and either repave them or pour concrete.
Yeah, because I got a lot of people that's waiting on that second phase
understand.
project.
Yeah,
So
yep.
with the drainage problem we're having in that area right there, so
Yes, sir.
we'll see about trying to help out with the funding some kind of way.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dillon. We
Thank y'all.
appreciate it. Do we have any other reports, Mr. President?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got a couple items. One, I want to thank you for the additive, whatever you let us put on the floor, to get the stickiness out. But I also want to thank the inmates from TWP, Chris, Eric, Floyd, Dylan, Mitch, everybody who showed up on that Monday when there was water coming out the front door, to rip up the carpet and suck up all the other water from across the building. Mitch is working with the insurance companies. Hopefully, I don't know about the next council meeting, I'll be back to normal, but we're working pretty quick to get the flooring back in. We'll have to deal with some of the flooring in the lobby, and then the wall in the janitor's office was completely soaked, so we might have to bust the wall open. But just a reminder to the boards and commissions that may be watching, Kelly wanted me to mention, we sent out 44 packets. Only 16 boards responded to that, so there's 28 boards left that have to respond to the update packets that we sent out to them. So if you touch base with any of your boards, any of your members, remind them to submit that. SOP was probably the first one back, so thank you, Ron. We have a meeting tomorrow for Councilman Arabi. I know you've asked about it before, and Mr. Chairman, on the courthouse and the morgue. We're meeting with the morgue staff and the architect in the morning, and we're meeting with the architect and the judges tomorrow afternoon. So we'll have some good updates. Mike, I'll send the Bar Association kind of an update and copy you on it tomorrow once we get done with the courthouse, so we can let them know what's going on. In case you didn't know, hurricane season's here, so we advise all of our residents to visit our parish website, our emergency preparedness tab, getagameplan.org. Just remember to pack up all your stuff if you're going to evacuate. Think about where you're going, how you're getting there, whether you're driving or you're counting on us. Congratulations to the Vassar Gaines Community Center on a great fair this weekend. Had a good crowd this weekend. And if you're bored this weekend, the Cajun Heritage Festival at the LaRose Civic Center. So go out and enjoy some of the cool events we have going on across Lafourche Parish.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chasson. Appreciate that. With that said, we'll wrap up, move into item M, discussion. Mr. Lorraine, you got any final comments, sir?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. Mr. Chasson, on the airport corridor, did we pay them?
No. I figured, why would we pay them, really? I mean, no.
No, we got 2020 and 21.
So they had a pre-construction meeting probably 3 weeks ago. Their 90-day kind of conditional notice to proceed started to order materials, get their stuff start coming. They should mob in, Chet told me, probably sometime in late June, middle of June, late June. So once the contractor begins to invoice them, then we'll start to pay our section. I'm just not gonna write them a check if there's nothing to pay yet. So when the contractor starts to submit his invoices, we'll start to pay our portion. Money's budgeted. We have the 2020 and 2021
Right.
payments. So as the invoices start to come in, we're gonna pay them.
I think there were 4 payments, and the port's gonna handle the project.
That's right.
But the parish is involved with it just as much as the port.
That's right.
Each of $4.5 million, so.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting. As soon as the contractor starts to invoice, we're gonna piece all that
Right.
together and pay our share.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Another thing, the guy that came to the council the other day, that guy needs some help. He even went and rented a machine to try to solve this problem. He did a little solving, but when that big rain came the other day, it didn't work out. He told me $300-something he spent. So now the landowner that's north of him contacted me the other day, and they're looking at wanting to sweep out 3 existing canals, and one of them is right where he's at. If that gets swept out, then his problem's over with. So somebody from the parish did go, but he felt he had the cold shoulder. Not gonna mention any names, but try to help him, because I tell you what, he's gonna come to the next meeting, and we could do this sensibly. This boy really needs some help. I mean, it's nice to go and fix 50 houses in a subdivision, but this is only 2-3 houses, family inherited property, and he's really in a bind. And I feel sorry for him. I mean, this is unbelievable how much water stays there, and he needs some help. Not asking to break the law, nothing, just asking to get somebody over there to make at least the guy felt that he was actually nothing. That's how he felt. Look, I know these people. I was raised there, and they'll tell you. But I'm telling you, out of all the projects I've done, this is probably one of the worst, that this guy really needs some help, you know. And so whatever y'all could do, I'd appreciate it, and try to help him.
Mr. Chairman, I'll defer to Dylan on that one. I think he's got a.
Y'all have
Yeah,
some
so we-
comments? Go ahead, Dylan, you have the
Yeah,
floor.
we did look into this. We did go visit with Mr. Nathan. The situation is pretty bad. We did search high and low for a right-of-way. All we found on the property was a lien to Lafourche Parish government, not a right-of-way with Lafourche Parish government, but we are going to work with the landowner. I did receive something from Mr. Daniel 2 or 3 days ago with the work order saying that the landowner was going to work with us, so we'll look into that and see if we can't get him some help.
Yeah, according to what he said, if we could just cut across that dirt road and it could drain to the canal. But the main canal, if it's clean from 308 all the way to the 40s, that solves the whole issue. And that's a guy that I sent in those three canals to be swept out. Okay? Thank you. I'm not gonna be too hard on you tonight.
Thank you, sir. Glad you're talking to me again. Good to have you.
Ms. Chasson.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone that the Cutoff Youth Center is having trivia night Saturday night. And if you don't have a team in yet, it's not too late. You can contact us at the Cutoff Youth Center and get a team in. So that's it. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Ms. Chasson. Mr. Araby.
Yeah, well, I took care of a bunch of my requests earlier, but I still have one from Mr. Chasson. Him and I spoke over the weekend. He more or less got attacked, and I did too, about the Reed Toops levy. I'd like to see if y'all guys can get together and go look at this levy and see if it's anything that we can do or can't do. From talking to some other individuals this past weekend at the festival, I was told all we're doing is circulating water. I haven't been back there in years, but I plan to go ride back there and look at it myself. But he's saying he's got some problem with the levee. If the parish wants to go out there and fix the levee, and then we want to give it up to him after, and he'll take it back, whatever. But I'd like to see if we can try to get out there and see if anything we can do or can't do, and let the man know.
I will say that I was at a North Lafourche Levy District meeting. He came there and asked the same thing about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think I'm not sure, but I would encourage him to go back to North Lafourche Levy District. I mean, that's what they do. But I was there when he attended one meeting before, and he basically asked for the same thing, as I recall.
And Mr. Chairman, those Reed and Mr. Freddie's levy, I mean, it was one of those old.
Mr. Bro, right?
Yeah.
So they were both at the meeting I'm referring to.
And it was one of these old, I don't want to call them a brother-in-law deal, but it was one of these things where they had an old levee around a pond, and the parish started to maintain it and keep it up. And Terry's right. I mean, it's some overtopping and some old leaks, so, we're pumping water out of something that ought to be flooded, but there's a levee around it, so. But yeah, we'll pick a time, Terry. We'll hop in the truck with Dylan and go around and take a look at it with Reed, and see if there's anything we can do.
I think it'll be good either way. I mean, he's hoping that we can try to do something to eliminate the problem, and if he's got to maintain it himself after, and we want to give it up, whatever, I don't know. But he's just looking for an answer, so thank y'all.
Mr. Melvin, Mr. Grove.
Yeah, just real quick, I tried to hit my button when the gentleman and lady talked about the library, but it was a little late. You are the liaison now, right, aren't you?
So Daniel on paper is still technically the library liaison. As the parish president, I think I'm an ex officio of every board.
I noticed in the last literature they gave us at the meeting, you were on it, and that's what brought it to my attention.
Yeah.
Do we do their HR?
We do.
Okay, so certainly, I know they have our insurance and whatnot, but so in terms of somebody getting let go and all that crosses our department? Okay, all right.
So they're an unclassified group. They don't fall into our civil service system. So there is no, I think they have a grievance policy, and I don't know it like off the top of my head. So I don't think there's a way for them to appeal any type of termination, like coming to you guys as the ultimate control. But we control their HR processes and their financial processes.
Yeah.
That was stripped away from the board I don't know, Jerry, back in what, the 2000s?
Yeah, and I'm trying to be very careful when he mentioned, getting an attorney and things like, and at one point he mentioned something about if her demands aren't met. But I think at the very least, we need to try to get a copy of an eval. I think that's just common anyway, almost, right? I don't know. I mean, I guess we had a right to work state, you could let anybody go for anything, but if you're doing evaluations, you should have a copy of it. Or if you allegedly think somebody altered it, that's really not cool, or illegal, So I would ask if maybe we can talk to the library board about that. And then the other one is just a general comment. It's easy for somebody to say, people, when people call me and want to get on the board, I sure don't ask them if they're about to start a bunch of stuff up, If they call me, that's a plus. Because I've had one person call me one time and say, I can't believe you put this guy on the board. I said, why would I put the other three? None of them reached out. They didn't have any qualifications. And this was a fire district board, but this guy was in the fire department, on the board before. If he came in with guns blazing, where's it a bad thing? I don't know. We have a lot of boards, Ms. Carly and I were talking the last meeting, that aren't turning in paperwork and minutes and things like that. I appreciate anybody who wants to serve, but I think it's unfair to say, check who you're putting on or whatever. I vetted the two that I put on, and they both called. Ms. Bordelon was a librarian. I mentioned that in the meeting. The other time I put somebody on was Ms. Hubble, who I know is a teacher an instructor at Nichols. I don't know who he has a problem with, but, it is unfortunate that, people throw out allegations like that. So, you can't please everybody, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grove. Mr. Windham? Mr. Adams? Mr. Jones?
Yes, Mr. Chasson, President Chasson, just want to give you thanks for that show, Channel 4, a couple weeks ago. It really was a nice show for Lafourche Parish, but you can't dance with Sheba.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Chesson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Robbie and John and Caroline did a heck of a job getting those guys down here. The comments that I think Cody from the Tourism Board got, the number of, I guess, clicks and stuff they're seeing on their website that people who are trying to come here now has kind of jumped through the roof post that. They're still running commercials about Lafourche on Channel 4 because I think they're going to try to make this a thing, so they're replaying some of the clips. So we definitely got some good things. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you guys. For a lot of years, Lafourche Parish was in the newspaper with fights between the council and the administration. And when you look at some of our neighboring parishes now, they're starting to resurge that. And we've been pretty quiet. So I want to thank you guys. Terry, I know you're new, but you've been around for a while, for working with us and as administration over the last 18 months, especially through COVID and 7 hurricanes, and keeping the relationship civil. Even you, Daniel. But thanks for all the work you guys have put in for the people and helping us as an administration get through a lot of this. So I appreciate the cooperation.
Thank you, Mr. Chesson. Just a few final comments. I just want to mention to everyone that there is a Smithsonian display in Thibodeaux at the Jean Lafitte, help me out, Cultural Wetlands Center up in Thibodeaux. That's currently going on. It's a traveling display by the Smithsonian, so we certainly would encourage people to go out there and visit it. Also want to mention, I know there's been fundraisers going on, Mr. Danny Maillet, he is currently the president of the Louisiana State Farmers Association for the whole state. He's hosting his convention in July, and he's both an active member of both Lockport and Raceland's Fire Department. Matter of fact, he responded with a truck to a fire only a few days ago in Lockport. So he's still very active, and so if anyone sees any of his fundraisers, I certainly would encourage you to assist and contribute what you can, because once again, he's representing our parish as president of Louisiana State Farmers Association. I want to thank y'all for continuing to push something to happen there with the coroner's office. It's certainly one of the most embarrassing locations I think we have in this parish where those people are working, and it's really, really nasty. So I'm looking forward to what improvements we can make there, and I'm certainly on board, and you have my support as much as we can financially help out on that. Last thing I have is squatters are back. Mr. President, can you comment if you're going to get rid of them? Because the people are going nuts in Lockport with those same people.
No kidding. So I had a wonderful visitor at my front door Sunday afternoon. They decided to figure out where I lived and showed up at my front door. We talked to the property owner yesterday. He had made a complaint with the sheriff's office. They're on private property now, so it makes it a little bit different. But yeah, the neighborhood has reached out to me all weekend as well. Bob actually went out and tagged the camper yesterday. So that starts the 7 or 14 day process. The landowner said they wanted it gone as soon as possible. So we're gonna work with them to update his complaint with the sheriff's office and get him out of there as quick as we can.
So I'm a little confused. I mean, typically when I have a complaint of someone on private property, it gets towed right then and there. That can't happen in this situation?
I don't know that we can tow it right then and there. I think if he wants to request it to be towed, the sheriff's office can tow it. But that's not something that I think we step into right away.
Not
You still have to
parish
like, if
government.
there's a derelict car, there's still like a 7-day process once we tag it to be able to tow it.
Okay, so when a vehicle is abandoned on, say, my property, I call the sheriff's office and they will authorize the record vehicle to pick it up right then and there.
Okay.
Because it's on private property.
Okay.
I mean, somebody can't just go park on your property and say, I'm gonna stay there for 7 days for notification. No, the sheriff's office cannot, the only thing is the tow truck driver will not pick it up unless it's authorized by the local, whether it's in the town of Lockport, it's gonna be town police. If it's outside, it'll be parish. But that absolutely should be able to get towed right now.
Okay. Let me
I've
work
been
on
doing it
that.
for 30 years, so.
Let me work on that.
Yeah,
We'll get it out of
let's
tonight
get it
if that's the
going. Let's
case.
get it going. All right, thank you. With that said, I entertain a motion, because there is no further business. The Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting, June 8, 2021, will be adjourned at 18:16. So moved by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you all.